Welcome to Wire Lotus's YouTube videos. I'm so glad that you're here to journey with us today as we make a beautiful flowing cascade earring made out of gemstone beads into like a grape-like cluster. We're going to create a dangle using a series of secured loops, which I actually have in another video. So if this is something that interests you, I'd love for you to come along here with me while we create this. So come on, let's go ahead and get started. The tools that we're going to be using for this are round nose pliers, needle nose pliers, micro needle nose pliers, flush wire cutters with a very sharp point. We're going to need an alcohol pad and a Sharpie marker. The supplies we're going to be needing are a brass component with a loop at the top and a loop at the bottom, seed beads 11/0 or 11 \0. We're going to need some beads, 4mm variegated faceted beads. We're going to need 50 for both earrings. Head pins, and the head pins are going to need to be 24 to 46 gauge, and you're going to need 48 of these. 2 ear wires. I like to use niobium, or I like to use, pure brass or gold filled, or even gold for that matter. You're going to need a chain. I just use a regular necklace chain, and I just go ahead and I take the clasp off. You need to make sure that the center of the necklace chain has a nice opening in it, and that these openings are soldered shut. We want to make sure that they do not have anything that's going to come apart with, when you're using your tools in your earring, making your earring. You're going to need 2 jump rings. The jump rings are going to need to be 4mm outside dimension with 18 gauge. So that's what we're looking for here. All right, so let's go ahead and start the process. Here I have the earring. On the earring, I have 5 chain links, and I have up here, I have that little jump ring, and on the jump ring, I have 3 beads. And then if I go down, I have 4 beads on the next link, and on the next link I have 4 more, and on down the road. So every time there's a link, there's 4 beads, with the exception of this last one. This last one, I have my 4 beads, but I also have a long dangle. And I'm showing you this just so you know what to expect when it comes time for us to create this. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken the liberty of just coming in here and just creating some of these loops a little bit ahead of time, so that you don't have to spend so much time watching my video and seeing me creating all these different loops. Don't worry, I'm going to show you in the beginning how to create a loop, which is the important part. So let's go ahead and start by marking our pliers. In order for us to make each one of our loops symmetrical, I take a marker and I just mark my pliers so that they are just, that little mark just goes right here at the tip. And the reason why I do that, and I do it on both sides. Now, if you had a thinner pair of round nose pliers, then you would want to bring your mark up a little bit further in, because these are very large barrel pliers. Okay, so now in order to take that mark off, I can always use an alcohol swab. So that's why we have that alcohol swab there, and it comes off very easily with that. But for now, we're going to keep it on because we're going to be making a lot of loops. But before we make loops, we're going to take a look here at this chain. When I made that very first earring, I chose 5 links from this necklace. And this is a necklace that I got from a local hobby store. So what I have here is I'm going to count them out. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I have 5 here. Now, if you notice, there are little connecting chain bits there. We're not going to count that. We're only going to count the 5 that are the larger chain links of that necklace. And I'm going to cut right there where that small one is. So I'm going to come in, and this is one of the reasons why you need a small or sharp cutters, and I'm just going to cut that off. And I'll do it on both sides so I don't have to twist or ruin any of my tools. Here we go. There we go. So I can go ahead and just shove this chain aside a little bit. So what I have is this, and that's my 5 links. So that's a start for us here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take that jump ring and we're going to attach it to the top of this 5 chains that these 5 links that we have. In order to do that, what I do is I take 2 flat pliers, one on either side, one on this side, and one on this side. And I'm going to grasp that, and I'm going to open it up. I'm going to open it up left and right. Okay, that way it doesn't distort it. That's how I'm opening that up. I'm going to take this, and I'm going to put it on the top chain link, and I'm going to close it. I'm going to grasp this with this pliers here, and I'm just going to hold that, and I'm going to close it the way it came. Now, if it doesn't coapt or close the way that it's supposed to, I'm just going to kind of shimmy it back into place until I do see that close. And you do want that to be very, very closed. Okay, so that's what we have right now. So we have our jump ring and we have our 5 links. So we can go ahead and get started with putting our beads on. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring this in here and show you something here. Again, back to those beads that I've already recreated there. These right over here that say 3, those are the 3 that are going to be attached to the jump ring in the end. So I'm going to actually start with this 4 here. So I have 3 that are going to go on the jump ring, 4 on the first link, 4 on the second link, 4 on the third, 4 on the fourth, and 4 on the fifth. And then this one here, just 1, that link is going to go at the bottom just to kind of give it kind of a nice fluid point there at the bottom. So let's go ahead and we're going to begin here with this one. Now what I'm doing is I'm just starting off by showing you what I've done is I've just put those beads on. Now these beads, the way I've done this is I've taken a seed bead and I've taken the lightest colored bead here and I've put it on one of the head pins. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my flat nose pliers, I'm going to grasp that, leaving a little bit of a space. And I've done another video on this, on how to create a secured loop. So what we have here is just a little bit of a space in there, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to hold on to the beads and I'm going to bend this at a nearly 90-degree angle. So here's what we have now. Okay, so now I'm going to bring my pliers in right where I have marked those, which is just right there at the very tip. I've marked those. I'm going to put that right in the crook. Okay, so it's going right in the crook there. And I'm going to I'm grasping that pretty firmly. I'm going to bring my wire up and around until it can't go any further. Here, it can't go any further. Show you here from this angle, all the different angles. So because I can't go any further, what I need to do, leave that barrel in there over here on this side, and I'm going to open up my pliers and I'm going to rotate or pivot that one barrel to the top. Okay, so now I have that clearance in order to create that loop. So I'm going to continue to create that loop. All right, there we go. I've created that loop. Now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to let go here. with this pliers. Now I need to make sure that when I introduce this into the chain, that this right here has a little bit of a gap, and this does not. Since these are somewhat challenging as far as like their hardness, I need to create that gap. So I'm going to just pull that out a little bit until I've created a little bit of a gap. There I have that gap. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our chain, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put two of these beads on this side and then two of these beads on the other side. So let's go ahead and start with this side. I'm taking this bead and I'm putting it on. Now I've got that on. I can go ahead and let that chain dangle while I go ahead with the next process. This is where those needle nose pliers come in really handy. What we're going to do is we're going to take those needle nose pliers and I'm going to just hold on to that loop. Now notice how I'm holding on to that loop. It's right there on the actual loop. It's not where it crosses over. Okay, so that's where I'm holding it. Now I have this wire here that I can go ahead and I can create, for this one, I usually create 1.5 coil. So I'm going to grasp my wire end here, just here with some pliers, and I'm going to come up and around again. So that's about 1 there. Okay, now I can let go of that. I'm going to come around to where that wire ended, and I'm going to come in with my sharp cutters. Now notice I'm going with a flat side. I'm going towards the piece, and I'm going to cut. As I cut, I put my finger here to retain that wire so it doesn't flip up and hit myself in the eye. Can I get any closer than that? Probably not. So I'm going to come in with my flat nose pliers, and I am going to just make sure that that wire end is kind of down. So I can just kind of do like this in case it's sticking up somewhere. Okay, so now we have our first one. So if I were to hold this here with the jump ring, this is the first one we have. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to put the second one on top of that on the right side. So here I bring my flat nose pliers in, got that little bit of space there, bend it 90-degree angle, come in with my round nose pliers, hold on here, that round nose pliers, come up and over and around. Here we go. Right at that tip of that pliers, open up the pliers, and I'm just going to come to the top, hold on very tightly, and I'm going to finish out that loop and then just straighten that out just a little bit there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to let that go now, and now I'm going to open that up a little bit so I have that clearance and I can get that on the chain. Okay, so again, our home base is here on this jump ring. Now I think maybe what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring a piece of wire in here. That way it just kind of helps me to ascertain where that top part is. So if you want to do that, that's something you can do. So I'm going to stack the other one on top. Now because I opened that up a little bit, it should go right on there, and it did. I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to hold on here with those needle nose pliers. I'm going to grasp onto that, grasping on, and I'm going to bring my other pliers in, hold it here on the end, and I'm going to come up and over and around. This one is going to maybe take 1.5. So that one took about 1.5. Come in with my cutters, and I'm going to cut that off. Okay. I'm going to put the other two on the left-hand side of that link. for these, I have already made the loops, and I'm going to go ahead and put those on. So I'm looking at the link, and I'm going to go here on the left side. You know, this is a little bit fiddly, I will tell you, and for me to make one earring takes me about an hour and a half to 2 hours, just because there's all these moving parts that you're working with. So sometimes just having them ready, like I have, it's a really good idea. Okay, so I'm holding on there. I'm going to again bring my nose pliers in, up and around, and go around once. I like the seed beads because I think they add a little bit of dimension. If you wanted to do this without the seed beads, you could do that too. Just gives it a little bit extra flow. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to put on the fourth one. I've got the 2 on the right side here, and I've got the 1 here on the left side. So here's the fourth one. I've got it on, and I'm going to create a coil. So now that all 4 of these are on, I can go ahead and I can start with the next color. So because these are variegated, I do like to start from the lightest color and then go to the darkest color. Here's where we're at with the 4 beads. We have here, we have the jump ring here. We have the 2 beads on the right side, 2 beads on the left side, and then we're going to be putting the next 4 beads here into the next link. So that's what we're looking for, and that will be a little bit of a darker color than this right here. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to go with this color right here. That's our next color. So again, just like we did on the top, we put 2 on the right, 2 on the left. We're going to do the same thing here. We're going to put 2 on the right and 2 on the left with this one here. So let's go ahead and put this one on. Okay, that one went on pretty easy. We're going to use those needle nose pliers. You can see how those needle nose pliers are just so helpful to use to try to get right there on that loop so that you can create that. So now we're just going to go up and around. And again, this one did about 1.5. Bring our cutters in and cut. Get as close as I can with that point of the cutters. We've got the 4 on top. We've got the 1 here on the bottom. Now the next one's going to go right above it. My little seed bead kind of fell down a little bit there. Okay. And now we're going to go over to the other side, and we're going to do the same on the other side. So here we have the 4 on top. We have the on the first link, and on the second link I've got the 2 on the right. And now we're going to put 2 on the left here. You can see how light the pink ones are here. They're just very, very light pink here. Here, we've got that first link with the 4. Here we have the second link with 2 here, 1 here. Now we're going to put 1 on top of that. So here we have the first length with 4 on. Here we have 4 on the second link. Now we're going to put 4 on the third, fourth, and the fifth link. That's what we're going to do at this point. And since I've already done these first 2, I'm just going to go ahead and do that fairly quickly, and we'll just go ahead and we will speed up this video so that it's a little bit more manageable for you to see that. Okay, here we go. Now here with this one, I'm going to go ahead and just use my finger. If you find that it's a little faster and easier, and sometimes for me, that's just the way I kind of learned, was by using the finger method, then just go ahead and use your finger to go ahead and coil. That's totally up to you, whichever works best for you. So see here, I'm holding on here with a loop. I'm bringing my wire up and over, and I'm just hand coiling at this point. And sometimes that's a little bit easier. Here I did the first link, the second link in a little bit darker pink, and then the third link is in a little bit darker pink yet. So here we've got our 4, 2 on the left side, 2 on the right. Now I'm going to go to the fourth link. At this point, it's getting a little harder to visually take a look at our links here, but here we have the first link, second link, third link, fourth link. I just finished up this fourth link, and now we're getting ready to do the fifth link, which is the very bottom. So what I like to do with this, since this is at the very bottom, I can go ahead and I can flip it up. Just to make this a little easier, because this one here is the last link, we don't need to worry so much about left and right. We're just going to put all 4 links here on this very bottom one. And once we're done putting those 4 links on, then we're going to put our focal or the double beaded one here in the center, just to kind of finish it off and give it a nice little look. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with that last link. We're almost there. All right, here's our fourth one at the last link, or the fifth link. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut that off, and then we're going to add the bottom focal. We're going to put on a bead, and we're going to put on a seed bead, and then we're going to put on another bead, and then we're going to put on another seed bead. Okay, so it goes bead, seed bead, bead, seed bead, bead, seed bead. Let's go ahead and create our loop. Leave a little bit more of a gap this time, because this one's going to be hanging down a little bit more. Well, that one's kind of way far up, so I'm just going to bring this in. And we want that to look like a little person, the head, the neck, the body, and the arm out here. But I also want to make sure that I leave that gap so I can get that here on the end. Now, what we're going to do, now that we've got all 5 of our wonderful little beads here on our chain, we're going to visualize that 5th link. And we're going to take a look in between the 2 left and the 2 right, and we're going to put this in the middle of those. So that is centered all the way at the bottom. And because that has 2 beads, it's going to hang a little bit lower than the rest of those. So I grasp this, and again, I'm going to just finger coil this a couple of times around, and I know it's going to go at least 1.5 to 2 times because of what I did with leaving a little bit more of a gap. Okay, and again, I want that, and I really like that look. Okay, there we go. We can go ahead and we can cut that now. At this point, you can just take a look at everything and see if you need to do any additional cutting of your wires. But you have your cascade done. Your cascade is all finished here, which is really very nice. All 5 of your chain links it's all ready to go. Now, there's 3 more that we're going to be putting on it. I put those 3 right here on that jump ring. I've got those 3 ready over here. So let's go ahead. Now, you can choose to go with this lighter color, like on top, or you can choose to go a little bit darker. I like a little bit more balance, so I chose to go a little bit darker. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my 3 secured loops here on the jump ring. I'm not going to do it the same way that I did with the chain. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the secured loops and then open up the jump ring, and then we'll just go from there. So let's go ahead and make a secured loop without attaching it to the chain. So here we go. And these loops are all the same size, just like with the chain. Now this time you're going to see that I'm going to hold on to that loop, and I'm just going to do my coil. All right, cut that. Now, I have 3 of these, okay? And I'm going to take those 3 and I'm going to put them on the jump ring. Before I put those on the jump ring, the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire off. I'm going to open up the jump ring and I'm going to attach it to the component, the bottom part of the component. And you can decide which is top and which is bottom. In order to do this, we're going to need 2 flat pliers. I'm going to come in here. Going to hold on here on either side of that jump ring. Going to open those up front to back. Just trying to get the very tips there. Front to back, it's open. Going to attach this here to this. But before I do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put on one of those secured loops. I'm going to attach this component, and then I'm going to attach the other two here onto the other side. There's one, and there's two, and now I can go ahead and close that. I'm going to just hold on here. Now this is where it gets really tricky. Really make sure you're holding on tightly and close that jump ring. And I will tell you honestly, this is even tough for me. There we go. That jump ring is closed. So there we have it. There we are. We're going to go ahead, we're going to attach the ear wire to the component top, bringing this up and around and then down. Here we are. We've got the finished earrings. Absolutely beautiful, the way that they cascade down and the way that they move, they shimmy. These earrings are easy to make, but they are a little bit time consuming. All that you have to know is how to do a secured loop and keep everything all in order. Thank you so much for joining me here today, and please subscribe so that you can continue this journey with me. I'd love to have you join me. Thank you.